This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, guess what came in the mail today?
More free bowling shit for Rob.
Christmas, baby. Christmas time when the case box rolls
I just want to know where. I want to know who the connect is. That's what I want to know. Okay, to put it in wire terms, because if you've listened to this podcast, you know that myself and Bill O'Neill, huge Wire fans. We've actually done a breakdown of how some PBA players relate to the characters in the Wire. If you want to go check that out in a previous episode, but I want to know who the connect is, son. You got to give me the connect. Like you're like Avon and I'm Stringer, and you don't want to tell me who the connect is, and that's not good.
So let me tell you what I got in the mail today. I got a
preach, Nico. Nico in the chat saying, "Give up some of the free shit to your boy." That's right.
I got an RSTX 3 that's releases tomorrow, a reality check, a Wolverine Moss, and another original OG reality.
Okay.
Dude, I'm excited about the reality check. I'm excited about my reality is so good. And I'm not a patch pirate. I'm just being real.
You are, Pat. I was just gonna say you are really crossing the line on the patch.
Getting around here. Shit.
Mike Ruther in the chat asking when is Big Mike getting a special delivery? No, I don't get those, Mike. All I want to know is who the plug is. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this on air. When I find out who the plug is, me and that person, we're gonna have a little bit of an issue,
dude.
Whoever that person is getting a strongly worded message from me through some means where I'm going to tell them, listen,
but
be
hey,
aware.
So I'm excited because I get to drill some stuff the next few weeks before my tournament circuit rolls around here in the next stuff.
That's good, man. Weeks. That's good. So, I'm glad you got the plug. I'm glad you got the hookup. Patch pirate ass. So. I know that people want to hear my league review. I put it out on Twitter a little bit last night. I had gone on vacation, and I got back yesterday, or afternoon, and had to go bowl leagues. If I didn't show up, I was going to forfeit everything, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. And I really wasn't feeling all that great. But I thought I had a decent idea of how to play them based off of my mistakes the week before. We were bowling on the same pattern, Highway to Hell. So, yeah, I decided to start in with a reality, and it looked good. I didn't even throw it all that great, and I still bowled okay the first two games, 198, 190. And in both games, I went into the 10th frame with a chance to win the game. One game, I left a solid 10, which I thought was a really excellent shot. And the other game, I threw my worst shot of the game, basically. So that wasn't real good. I need to give a shout-out to a young bull that I bowl with in this league. So, for those of you that are not Philly people and you don't know what the term young bull means, it just means somebody, that's younger than you that you have some sort of association with. So my association with this young bull is bowling. We bowl in the same league, and he looks very into it. He's very passionate about his bowling. He's two-handed. And, we happened to strike up a couple conversations about, what was going on in the lanes and the stuff that he was seeing. First experience bowling on some tougher stuff. Then we had a couple sessions where after league we practiced, and I was showing him some things and trying to get him to think about lane play a little bit and whatnot. And then last night we bowled each other the first game, and he had been telling me for a few weeks, the next time I bowl you, I'm coming for you. And to his credit, he bowled great and he beat me. I shot 198. I think he shot 204. So it was a tight match. He did his best to give me the game at the end of the game. He missed a 3-6-10, and I think he might have opened one more time at the end of the game. So he definitely did his best to give me a shot. But yeah, I rang a 10 in the second shot in the 10th to not win the game. So 198, 190, 190 again, and then 218 for like 795. So the 218 probably should have been about 250, but I decided to miss a spare or two in that game, and probably missed about 5 makeables throughout the night. So that's about 50 pins. So I probably should have been about 840. Is likely where I should have been instead of 795. But coming off a vacation and whatnot, I'll take it. Mike Wolf giving me shit on Twitter, telling me stop settling, was his comment when I put out my league results last night. But listen, like all bowlers who bowl league, I think I really show up for the enjoyment. I know that sounds crazy, being that they're I like to bowl on the tough, and sometimes it can be really frustrating. But that frustration is still enjoyment to me, because the drive to go get better, to practice, to figure it out, to throw it better, to make better decisions is really what interests me about the game, right? So, that was my league experience. We're getting ready to wrap up the league in a few weeks. I don't even know what we're bowling on the next few weeks. And
sensitive subject Nico's bringing. We might have to save that for closing
Nico,
arguments.
Do you have my phone tapped, son? I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it right now.
You are?
I am.
You want to wait? You want me to give my tournament review, or you want to go right into it and then come to me?
No. Let's get into it, and then I'll come to you.
Okay.
So, Nico, you asked, are we both bowling fall league? Are you bowling fall league, Rob? I haven't even discussed it with House on House.
Yep.
Oh God, you are a patch pirate. You are a patch pirate. I don't even want to hear it.
There's a lot of shit talking already in the league. I'm gonna get into that, but
so stupid. Shit talking on house bowling is so stupid. It's so stupid. Like anything I watch that involves house bowling, I'm immediately turned off by it, because the balance between skill and luck is out of whack. Whereas when you watch a competition on something challenging, the balance between skill and luck is much more in flow. And I can't stand it anymore. I really can't. Like,
look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm bowling for my own reasons, and it has more
patch
to do
piracy
with
reasons. We know
patch piracy. It has more to do with being new to the area and trying to honestly meet people. Honestly,
I'm giving you a hard time, but I feel
you. They're talking shit already on Facebook, because they found out I'm bowling with this team. So there's been some posts on Facebook we heard there's a new people bowling on the team. It's a 40 team league, 5-man team Tuesday nights. It is a big league down here. And it's a filled league. I mean, yes, it's on a house shot, but from what I'm seeing, it's already on Facebook. It's pretty competitive, but I'll have some good content. I will.
People stay tuned, because we're going to have 300 and 800 posts from Rob with pictures of him with the ball and all that.
I suck at the house shot, man. I'm going to average 215.
So Rob's bowling fall league. As you all know, I really do not enjoy bowling on house shots, as you can hear me talking about. I much prefer to bowl on something tough. And Nico, I got to be honest, my sport league that I have bowled in for the last 7 or 8 years may not get off the ground this year. We're really scrounging for teams and bowlers. It's looking bleak. I got to be honest. It's looking a little bleak. So I don't know what's going to happen. Now, there is another sport league on Monday nights at a different bowling center that's also reasonable distance to my house. However, I'm so busy on Monday nights this year that I'm not so sure that I'm even going to be able to bowl that. Also, that league starts late and ends late, as the league that I bowl in does. And to be out late on a Monday night, I don't know, by Friday, I may be paying the price for that. So I don't know, man. I'm really, honestly, folks, I'm in a foul mood. I'm in a foul mood tonight. I'm in a foul mood at the whole bowling world, the whole bowling community.
Like PTA foul mood, Mike?
Yeah, because
Lord.
because no,
all right,
because
go for it. Why are you angry, Mike?
The real reason that leagues like this can't sustain themselves is because people have the option of bowling on the fraudulent shit, right? And not only do they have the option of it, but much of the bowling industry, and I'm going to call out several groups here, like ball companies, like proprietors, like pro shop people, okay? Instead of like center managers, okay? Instead of really actively encouraging people who reach a certain level in the game to then come and bowl on the harder side of the game, okay? Because those groups that I mentioned should know that that's really how the game is going to grow in the long run, especially the real side of the game. That's how it's going to grow. Is you're going to take people from the one side, the recreational side of the game, and you're going to bring them over to the more sports side of the game, right? But no one does that. In fact, they do the opposite. They actually encourage people to remain on that recreational side simply because boosting those people's egos is in all of those groups' best interest. Okay? And I'm going to say that again. Boosting bowlers' egos is in all of those groups' best interest. And those groups, again, I'm talking about proprietor owners, center managers, pro shop people, bowling ball companies. You know, at a certain point, if the competitive side of the game is not going to die a slow death, okay, the industry as a whole and bowlers as a whole, not in a demeaning way is to say, oh, your accomplishments on this don't count or don't mean anything, but in a way of challenging people to grow that side of the game. If we don't start to really actively recruit people or even force people to go to that side of the game, it's going to die another slow death. I mean, there was a resurgence, I would say, over the last 10, 15 years maybe with the technology catching up in terms of patterns and things of this nature and information being out there. But it seems now that a lot of people out there have gotten a taste of what the other side of the game is, whether that be through a local sport league, a summer PBA experience league, a trip to nationals, a trip to their local Masters tournament, where they put out maybe a sport pattern. Now that a lot of people have gotten a taste of it, I feel like they are further away from it than ever. Like somebody like Mr. X, who again has bowled an 879 series at one point, okay? Wants no parts of coming back to a league like that. So unless you really actively recruit or even, again, I'm going to use the word force
so let me
people to go to that side of the game, it's going to die.
So let me ask you a question. If you were to, and you've already called out a couple groups, right? The proprietors, you've called out the ball companies. Now, we had Chad Murphy on, the USBC. He didn't really seem too concerned about the scores being too high and the shot being easy on the local side of the game. Would you, in my opinion, obviously you can't really blame the proprietors because, like people are saying in the chat, cash is king. They're trying to run a business. And if that's going to bring the people back to their business, then they're going to do what's best for business. So in reality, who's really to blame for it? Would you think it's the USBC?
No, I stand by that. It's all those groups together. They all lay claim to blame for the condition and what it is. And listen, I'm not saying that proprietors can't make them easy and sell that side of the game, but I am saying that they're at the same time they should be actively recruiting people who have reached a certain level on that side of the game to come over to the other side of the game. And the comment that Rob highlighted was from Tony Campagna Jr. He says, if you don't bowl on tour for a living, it's all recreation. And I understand that, and I agree with that to a large degree. But at the same time, that's not really what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the lane patterns as recreation or sport, not in terms of whether we're out there bowling for money or fun or recreation. I understand that any league, to me, whether it's a sports shot, a house shot, a mixed league, whatever, people are there for fun. I just said that a few minutes ago. Like, even though I struggle, I have fun. I do. Kevin Weeks in the chat asking, Mike, is your center doing a good job advertising more of a competitive shot for folks? No, I don't feel like they are, Kevin. It's a run-of-the-mill Bolero center. I think they expect us, the bowlers, to do all of the recruiting, et cetera, for this league. In fact, the sport league, the name of the league is the Sport Shop Classic. And the reason that it's called that is because the pro shop that it's associated with, that this league is associated with, is called the Sports Shop. So there's really not even a promotion of sport bowling in the name of the league. Okay. So I don't feel like there's a great deal of promotion, especially on the center's part. But I don't feel like there's any promotion really by many people. I feel like, it's kind of just like, hey, this group of people has kept the league propped up for this long. And, now that some of those people are falling by the wayside for various reasons, and I don't say that in any negative way whatsoever if some of those people are listening to this, because I don't want it to come off the wrong way. But now that some of those people are falling by the wayside, yeah, the league is taking a hit, and it's hard to find people to come in and sustain the league. We've never really added to it over the time that I've been into it. And listen, Dougie's here. Dougie, it's so funny that you pop up. I hope you saw Jimmy from the Ringing Tens thing on Twitter that he put me, you, Rob, and Bill O'Neill and the 4 people that for the PBA's board, which we'll talk about later. But it's funny because, Dougie, before I came up for the podcast, I was watching some PBA bowling on YouTube, and after the PBA match was over, your broadcast of the UBA finals popped up. And I just had it on. I just left it on as I was making some notes for the podcast and stuff. And, you're panning around with the camera, and there's all kinds of people there watching. There's obviously a bunch of people bowling, and I'm just saying to myself, like, man, where are some of these guys? Where are some of these better bowlers? To come bowl a sport league on a Tuesday night, where they all are? They're all Majestic. One of the easiest houses in the state, right? One of the easiest houses in the state. Whacking them, trying to shoot 800, probably 820 or better if you even want to sniff at a decent night pot-wise, right? So I mean, it's just frustrating to me. I don't understand. I do. I understand the lack of interest in bowling on the tougher stuff, but I don't understand the lack of an effort on the part of various groups within the bowling community. And I'll even say the bowlers themselves got to be out recruiting. I'll put them in that hodgepodge of groups too. But like, it just disappoints me that there's not more promotion, there's not more recruiting to that side of the game and of the sport. I'm done for now. Go ahead, Rob.
All right. Well, I had myself some bowling this weekend. I'll try to be quick here. I bowled a 7-game tournament, and they took the top 5 to stepladder finals. There was 87 entries in the tournament, and they put out a 48-foot pattern, whatever that was. They were dead. I mean, you could just imagine. Just think of shark in a weird kind of way where you couldn't get the ball right off your hand. You really had to keep the angle in front of you. And all I've been practicing, and I've been talking about this openly, is getting the ball right off my hand. And here I am now getting forced to get my angles in front of me, which I'm already very comfortable doing. So it was actually played into my A game. Well, anyway, long story short, I went 84 or 83 over for 7 games. I finished in 8th out of 87. I missed the step ladder by 5 pins. I started out really well, 245, 239. I think I was actually leading, but I don't really pay attention to the scores until after I'm bowling. I don't pay attention to the standings. I don't even look. I bowl my squad, and then I look to see how I did in brackets, and I look to see how I did in the standings after I bowl. I don't need any more clutter in my head while I'm bowling. And I've learned that, and I'd rather just kind of stay to what I'm doing. I made a really questionable ball choice in like game 4, which cost me about 4 frames, and then I made a switch back. I split in the 10th frame in the 6th game on a 250 going in the 10th, cost me 30 some pins, and ended up missing the cut by 5 pins. It was hot, it was humid. It was a really a grind, honestly. I'm proud to say, if you count leaving washouts, I probably missed 2 spares in 7 games, and those were both washouts. My spare shooting is great right now. I'm really throwing it good. Physically felt really good, except for maybe the last like 5 frames of the last game where I just kind of feel like I gassed a little bit. And bowl great. Made some money, not a lot, enough to make it worth my trip. And then got some more stuff to work on. I realized though that my focus could be a lot better throughout 7 games. I really got comfortable after the first 2 games, because it's really hard to get comfortable on a really tough shot, even though you're bowling really good. And I kind of feel like I got a little bit too comfortable, and I started to give away some shots. So just some stuff to work on, maybe some like lack of like focus throughout all 7 games. But yeah, I mean, how could I really be mad at 8th place out of 87 and really barely missing the top 5, where you get into the step ladder and it's like anybody's tournament. So there was some really good bowlers there. I actually crossed with Brianna. She bowled okay. I think she was like plus 40 something. And I crossed with a couple of other really good bowlers, Riley Patterson, and it was just it's a good tournament. It's good experience. It's good. He puts out really tough shots. So next tournament is not this weekend, next Sunday. The Arizona State Masters is here. I'm not really sure if they're using a pattern. I think they are. I hope they are. And then, it'll be TAT. After the TAT will be the 10,000 tournament in Phoenix, and then the PBA Regional in Mesa. So a lot of bowling for me. Yeah, so that's really my...
Yeah, I hope I get the bowl. I don't know. We'll see. All right. There's actually some PBA bowling to discuss. And you know what? I didn't even mention this in our pre-show meeting. So I'm gonna take you a little bit by surprise here, but I want to talk about something more general before we even get into the specific PBA action here. And I don't know if it's just me, and because it's summer and I'm on summer break and I was on vacation last week, and I've just had a lot going on. I don't know if it's just me. So I'm going to ask the chat, Rob, I'm going to ask you to respond to this opinion, this statement that I'm going to make. But we have said in the past, and I have heard a lot of people complain about in the past, how you never know what's going on with the PBA. It's very hard to keep track of what's going on. When are they bowling? What are they bowling? Where is it being broadcast? What time is it? What day is it, et cetera, right? Now, in the past, you have always said to me, Mike, you always know what's going on. And other people that know me well always say, like, yo, you always know what they're doing, what's going on. You always have the schedule down. I'm lost. Joe.
Lost.
Yo, I'm 10 out of 10 lost with what's going on with. I feel more lost in trying to follow what's going on with the PBA than I ever have in the last, probably ever. And that's a huge statement for me to make, because I am normally ultra on top of what is going on with the PBA and where they're bowling, what events are taking place, etc. So, I ask people in the chat, like, do you feel the same way? Is the PBA, is Bolero, I'm going to say, the owners of the PBA, are they getting worse or lazier about promoting the PBA and the tournaments that they have going on? And I know they're super regionals, but if you're going to run them and they're $10,000, why not at least let people know where they can watch it or watch the finals? They're not broadcasting qualifying anymore. They're not broadcasting the semis. They're only broadcasting the finals at this point. So I don't know. I've just really felt out of tune with what's been going on. So I want to throw that out there before we get into the conversation about these tournaments. And to my point, I don't even know like when these tournaments took place. I know one was a few days ago. The finals was a few days ago. The other one, I have no idea. Was it before? Was it after? You know, I just, again, I'm a little.
Okay, so to follow up here, where's the first place normally you go to try to figure out where
a website,
right.
And it's horrendous.
We complain terrible, right? I've complained about this website. We've complained for years. I mean, years, right? While you were talking about this, I went onto the website. I wanted to see if I could find any kind of results or any kind of schedule for these super regionals.
Nothing.
Okay. There's the news about, you know, the PBA 50 and the League Bowl certification advisory, right? Homepage, the Lane Talk Showdown Tour, the PBA Junior National Championship, like finals that's going on with regionals right now. You know, there's some results on the, like, you know, PBA 50s and 60s stuff, right? Which isn't even, you know, on the more news. Maybe if I click on the more news, maybe I'll find something. So I have to go literally to almost 2 pages, and then I have to go to the final results to find. Yeah, so I have to go literally 3 pages into the website to find the Coldwater Super Regional final results, where like a Fox took down Cooley.
Right. John Stevenson with a comment in the chat. He says 8 PBA junior people qualify for something. He's referencing the fact that it's a lot easier to find that than it is to find information about these super regionals that were going
100%.
on. Right. Yeah. So,
agreed.
And this doesn't even speak to the broader point that the past few summers, the players have been bowling bigger, better events that have been fully broadcast. Right. This summer, it definitely feels scaled back to me. Right. And to me, that's not a step in the right direction. I know a little bit of that has to do with flow and their involvement or lack of involvement in things. But still, you know, to have that kind of step back is not a step in the right direction to me.
It probably just, you know, it got back page news because of the fact that it's a regional, regardless if it's a super regional. And I'm assuming that's the reason why they would put that on the homepage.
$10,000 for first.
I'm not arguing with you that it shouldn't be on the homepage. I'm just trying to use some common sense here. Like why in their minds, like this Nolan Hughes story wouldn't be in like the front page, or at least some kind of scroll where you could just scroll and see like this news stories. And it's not. You have to click, Mike. I think I clicked 3 links to get to this story of the super regional results that happened 4 days ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, John also making the comment that they have to figure out the streaming stuff and soon. John, that's part of it. PBA 50s on Bowl TV, okay? Regular PBAs now on YouTube. And I have to say, shout to Phil Brylow, who's been doing a pretty good job with the production quality of whatever they have going on. Now, they're only showing the finals. So you're only talking about a couple cameras, you know, 1 pair, okay? Not, you know, I mean, I'm no expert, but I would imagine that's easier than covering a whole bowling center. But again, scaled back from what we usually get. Okay, in the Coldwater event, they had Brian Robinson as one of the commentators, and like, no offense to Brian Robinson, don't know him from Adam. No, he's out there bowling time to time, but like, let's just say he was no Bo Burton. Okay, so I don't know. It just seems scaled back to me. It seems scaled back somewhat, and it's becoming tougher and tougher to follow and really find out, well, when is it on? When can I watch? I really don't like the fact that they've cut the streaming down to just the finals, because I'm going to make a prediction. We're never going to see streaming in qualifying again unless it's a USBC event like the US Open or Masters. I think this year, if you're a bowling fan, you better be prepared. You better be prepared to perhaps only have streaming of finals of certain events. You know,
has the regular National Tour PBA, have they made any kind of official announcement yet on where?
No, they haven't. But, you know, my guy, Charlie Tapp in the chat, what's up, Charlie? He says, you know, a pretty good source told me no Bowl TV next season. So if they're not going to Bowl TV, then that means they're probably going to stick to YouTube, right? which means they're probably going to stick to a scaled down, version of the streaming piece of that. And Tom Gorman in the chat saying, no need for a subscription. Then feel you on that, Tom. But me and I think a lot of other people, obviously the numbers don't support enough of that. But there are a lot of people out there that would pay to have access to a better product in terms of the streaming. But yeah, generally, I just don't like the direction things are going. I just don't.
I don't know. To me, it just makes too much sense why Bowl TV wouldn't pick up these tournaments and just do just one streaming service. So look, I mean, Mike, we've beat a dead horse here into the ground. It's just,
right.
Pay Bowl TV one subscription, be able to watch
everything,
pretty much anything you could watch that Bowl TV will put on. Maybe a couple of other things you can't, but Bowl TV, you'd be able to watch USBC tournament a little bit, the college bowling, the women's, the men's. It just makes too much sense. But what do I know, Mike? I mean, I'm just a fan that has a little bit of common sense, and maybe a little bit of a voice. But, I guess the PBA, it just makes more sense for them to stream the finals on YouTube or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't want to shit on the PBA until an official announcement comes out with the schedule and exactly what they're doing with the streaming. Because I don't know, maybe we might be pleasantly surprised, but I mean, I doubt it.
I guess you could say I'm preparing to shit on the PBA. I'm laying the groundwork.
I'm eating Taco Bell for 6 months.
I'm laying the groundwork on shitting on the PBA so that when all of these things come to fruition, or some of these things come to fruition, I can come back and say I told you so, I guess. All right, let's talk about actual bowling, because there was bowling. I did go back. I found these broadcasts. One's on their YouTube page already, and that was the Coldwater, Ohio tournament. Another one I found on Facebook that was somebody put up on the PBA East Region page, and that was the tournament from Virginia, which also, interestingly, Rob, looks like it took place on Wood Lanes.
Ooh.
Right? When's the last time you saw that?
I don't know, but if Bill O'Neill knew, he might have actually flown down to bowl that tournament.
Yeah,
if
right.
He knew that they were going to be on Wood
Lanes. Okay, so just a quick overview. I'm not going to get real deep into the step ladder here. Although if you want, you guys should go back and watch it. They were actually really good step ladders, especially the one from Coldwater. EJ Tackett bowled a young guy. His name escapes me right now.
Justin
Knowles. Okay, great match between them. Knowles, he kind of did. It got the best of him at the end. It got the best of him. Like, he had him right where he wanted him.
And then
I make this spare and fill this. He ain't getting up and doubling on this lane to beat me. It ain't happening. And he chops the spare, and EJ gets up, and he doesn't strike even on the first shot. He leaves a 4-7, and he makes it and beats him. So EJ then goes on to bowl
Sam
Cooley, right? And to Sam Cooley's credit, Tackett came out on fire in this game. And Cooley caught 2 really ridiculous taps early in the game, and he just stuck with it and put a huge string together at the end of the game to put some pressure on EJ Tackett. And then
EJ missed the head pin a few times.
Yeah, Tackett threw a couple errant shots. And
he missed the head pin
twice. Let Cooley back into it, and he was able to capitalize. So Cooley went on to bowl Graham Fa in the championship match. Okay, and
got my eyes on you, Fokker.
And really, the match to me came down to 2 shots from Cooley. Graham Fa bowled an excellent game. Really did. He really didn't make any really like crazy errors. It was like all good, solid shots.
The urethane look, right?
He did. I think he was using the Pink Widow urethane. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. This match, the final, came down to mainly 2 frames for Cooley. The first frame was when he left a 4-9. There was a frame like early in the game, maybe middle of the game, where he went up through what looked like a pretty good shot, left a 4-9. That was the first critical frame. He, again, to his credit, he stays with it. He comes back. Fa lets him hang around. Cooley gets up in the 10th with a chance to win, and he was using urethane. it looked like a great shot to me that he threw, and it just never read really, I would say, and he left a bucket, and that's how that match ended. So Fa was the titleist there. Stu, what's up, Stu? I got to be honest with you, bro. Hold on, I got to bring my phone up. I hope you're still here. I hope you just didn't click in and click out. I hope you're still here. Stu, I'm not even going to front on you, son, okay? You see what this is? You see what I have here? I have a screenshot. I have a screenshot of a video that Instagram suggested for me. Okay, I was in the Instagram search, and Instagram suggested this video for me, and I click on it, and it's Stu in slow motion throwing a shot with some romantic, sexy music behind it, and I'm like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. This is a worst of the week candidate. And I screenshotted it. So I'm not saying you're going to get worst of the week from me, but you were at least a worst of the week candidate here. Okay, you got to watch. You got to watch the background music on these things. He's saying it's from 4 years ago. A commercial. Commercial for what? What was it a commercial for? Let us know.
So interesting line here in the Nolan Hughes article that he wrote for the PBA here. Fa said the driving force behind his dominance has been quote unquote feeling comfortable, which has been aided by a switch from Motive to Brunswick this season. Thought that was an interesting line. Now, I wonder if that question was asked. I wonder if that question was asked to Fa, if that was a lot of his reasons for feeling comfortable. Hey, just making a speculation on something that was wrote on a PBA article. Just saying.
Yeah, no doubt. So the second event that I got a chance to catch was an event that took place in Virginia. And again, Sam Cooley staying hot, and he makes the final match and wins this one over Jason Sterner. It was on Wood Lanes. They were both playing them. It was fun to watch. If you're a fan of Wood Lanes, it was fun to watch because neither of them were getting the ball like very far right, and they both had that like check up in the back part of the lane type reaction that you see a lot on wood. And I just thought it was a really interesting match. Really interesting to see these guys bowl on wood. Who were the other finalists in that one? I'm trying to recall. You had Cooley versus Sterner. I think Doherty was in that one. Doherty made the Final Four there.
What date was that? Because I'm looking at the PBA section of the news just to get an idea. Because like you said, I didn't really have any idea that these tournaments were going on, and I don't see any articles. So who won that one? Was that?
I'm not sure. I believe it was Sam Cooley. Maybe it was a past tournament and someone just posted it, but I thought it was pretty recent. I don't know. I saw a post by Jason Sterner saying that he had bowled well.
There's nothing on the PBA. There's nothing on the PBA news website on this tournament going on.
All right, fair enough. So I could be wrong, but nonetheless. Okay,
was it today?
It was today. There you go. Cooley won today. All right, Stu, if you didn't catch it, we were just complaining about how hard it is to follow things right now because the PBA is doing a pretty shitty job of promoting everything that's going on and whatnot. But so we were a little confused about when some of these events were taking place. It was a PBA South Regional. Okay. So Cooley over Sterner there. To me, Sterner, he just never really looked all that comfortable on the pair that they were bowling on. He had a good look, but not a great look, and Cooley had a great look that he was really comfortable with. It didn't really look like Cooley was going to get less than 9 for most of the game, whereas Sterner definitely looked like he had one of those reactions where he could definitely get himself in trouble in any time with a small mistake and paying the ultimate price for a small errant shot. But Cooley over Sterner there. So Cooley hot. Second in the Coldwater Regional, wins the South Regional. So obviously bowling really well right now. Doesn't he bowl sometimes out in your area too, Rob, out in Arizona?
Yeah, he actually bowled 3 of those tough tournament circuits that I bowl, and I think he won 2 of them.
Okay.
So I haven't seen him in a while, obviously, because he's out bowling bigger tournaments. But Yeah, when he's in the area and he's around, he bowls and he wins. I mean, he's so good.
Stu says there's another super regional this weekend. Where's this one, Stu? Where's the one this weekend?
The website ain't telling us. The website ain't telling us anything.
Yeah, it's hard to find. And I'm going to assume that it's only broadcasting the finals, which will likely be on Sunday, which is another thing we're all pissed off about around here, Stu. Sorry to vent all of our beefs with the PBA with you, you know. PBA 50, Rob, some PBA 50 action. And basically the two headlines are this. Barnes back-to-back. Okay, Barnes goes back-to-back to end the PBA 50 season, but Parker takes down Player of the Year.
I mean, I don't really have any comment. I mean, Parker Bone had a great year. You know, Parker Bone deserves Bowley. Even when they asked Barnes about Player of the Year, his answer was Parker Bone. Like, it's not even a question. So I'm pretty, like, you know, I look like PBA 50 is really fun to watch right now. You know, I mean, I enjoy the PBA 50. It's you know, it's a lot of nostalgia pros we grew up watching, still being competitive, seeing Barnes and Parker bowl, and seeing, you know, all these guys that we grew up, you know, watching on TV on, you know, ESPN Saturday afternoon. I don't even know if it goes that far back, but it does. To see them still competing and still like at top of their games and being really like amazing it's fun to watch. I wish the PBA 50 would get some exposure, like some national exposure, like maybe one show or two shows on like Fox, like on Big Fox. I think would be pretty cool to watch them bowl a major like on live TV instead of having to, you know, watch it on a stream. You know, that would be my ask. I think it would get a lot of viewership if Parker Bones, Chris Barnes, Walter Ray Williams, Pete Weber were all bowling for a major on Fox. How cool would that be? Just throwing that out there.
One thing I thought about, this kind of like deep and like life shit, but I thought about how it's nice for the guys on the PBA 50 who have invested a large or their whole life really in bowling and in the PBA Tour. You know, like think about it. And Parker and Barnes are two really good examples of this, I think, too. They both have kids that we know right through the bowling thing. Both they have kids in college, right? Regardless of like tuition situations, scholarships, this and that, and the other thing, whatever. It's expensive when you have kids that are that age and you're supporting them, and you know they need big things. You know, every cost is going to be something major. It's going to be something big. You're trying to help them out. You're trying to get their life started, right? And at the same time, you're at a point in your career, regular tour wise, where, you know, those big checks are probably really hard to come by at this point, right? And you feel like those opportunities are really going to be few and far between. But then they're able to go on the PBA 50 tour, and I'm not saying that the amounts of money are massive, but you know these guys are able to go out and really, you know, compete every week and be in the top 5, top 10 every week. You know, and put a nice check in their pocket from time to time. And, you know, I think that's important because, you know, like when you bowl and you dedicate your whole life to bowling, and then you get to a point of life where, you know, you have serious things going on, but your career at the same time is kind of winding down. You know, it's like it's got to feel good, Mike, to find another outlet to compete.
It's amazing how much pushback you get when you have an idea like that. Just seems common sense. Stu writes in the chats, they don't even have many regular events on Fox. You want even less for a PBA 50 event. Okay, Stu, then put it on FS1 instead of the horrible ass strike derby and the horrible Clash of Clans pros or whatever the hell. No, some bullshit events that the FS1's running. Put them on the FS1 instead of the.
We're on our bullshit around here tonight. I gotta be honest.
Bullshit strike derbies and bullshit, you know, all these crap events that FS1 showing. Show the U.S. Open for the PBA 50. Is that really, you know, that hard for them to replace a shit event with an actual event that people would want to watch?
My more thought out response to that, Stu, would be that we, the bowling community, have to do a better job of promoting our product. right? We have to promote the value of our product versus some of the other stuff that I see being used to fill time on some of these channels. Come on, if you're going to sit here and argue with me that, we can't compete with cornhole or, just nonsense stuff that I see on there right now. I think I saw pickleball on one of the sports channels the other day. Okay, we can't promote our sport in that way. I don't know. And I want to bring up a tweet that I sent out today. I want to bring out a tweet real quick. Give me a second here. That I sent out. It was about how much money professional sports leagues earn off of their media revenue. Okay, so like TV deals, etc. NFL, $10 billion a year. All right, European Premier League, $4.2 billion per year. NBA, $2.6 billion per year. MLB, $1.96 billion per year. Big Ten, $1.07 billion per year. NHL, $625 million per year. SEC football, $588 million per year. And the only one out of that whole, and what I tweeted out was, where does bowling fall on this list? And I was sort of being sarcastic, obviously, but the only one on that list that really jumps out to me as surprising is the NHL. Okay, and I just ESPN doesn't really cover the NHL very much. You don't hear much about the NHL. There doesn't seem to be a huge demand for it. Yet it's on TV, $625 million a year they're getting from a media deal, So I would have to say let's try and promote our product not only against some of these other nonsense things they have on, but maybe even against something like the NFL or not the NFL. Oh my God, what did I just say? Freudian slip, like the NHL. Let's see Stu's response. He says he lives in the real world. Those specialty events are all filmed at the same time. The cost of TV production is high. That's why they justify doing 3 at once. Yeah, I mean, we know.
So wait,
that's a fair point.
So we can't run the PBA 50 a major at the same kind of time that they're filming at this specific time, where they could bring in the PBA 50 guys to film at that time when they're filming the other stuff. Are you saying that the schedule can't coexist so that the PBA 50 could use that television time to bowl the ladder? Look, the PBA, they set their own schedules. They could maneuver it around. So look, I might not be living in the real world. I'm living in a world where a fan wants to see the PBA 50 major be on TV. That's all I'm saying. Okay. I don't care how the PBA make it work, do it. I don't care if I'm living in a fake fantasy world or not. It just seems to be, I'd rather watch that as a fan than watch the Clash of Clans Derby or whatever the bullshit they're putting on, some of those specialty events where I can't even bet them anymore. They even took that away from the fans during the specialty events. The only thing that was really fun about the Derby was a chance that we could bet the over and under on strikes. They took that away from us in 2022. Jesus.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, Mike, speaking of all this PBA talk, I think we should, the PBA did announce their advisory board, FYI, for the PBA League Bowl certification. Me, you, Bill O'Neill, and Dougie will be the new advisory board for the PBA. And guess what? There's going to be major changes going on as the advisors. Bill tweeted out O'Neill that he wouldn't last a meeting with us in the advisory board. And I think that was a shot towards you, because I know for a fact he'd be okay with me in there, because we see eye to eye on a decent amount of things. You and him don't see eye to eye on anything in the sport of bowling. So I feel like that would be...
what? That probably speaks to me being right, because I look at things from the fans' perspective and what needs to be done. And
it's amazing.
You and him look at it from the bowler's perspective. And much like the dude who was in charge when they did the League of Ordinary Gentlemen, I think it wasn't Steve Miller. I forget what the guy's name was, the Nike executive. Yeah, I don't really care what the players think. I don't really care.
Look, all I'm saying is, okay, so let's talk about the actual real advisory board. Even though our advisory board would be a lot more fun, they could actually film our meetings, kind of like Hard Knocks, when they put the cameras in the Yeah, that's true. They could actually put the cameras in the meeting room with me, you, Bill, and Dougie. And think about the reality they would get, the reality television they would get as an advisory board for the PBA. You know, Tom Clark walks in and, you know, Bolero walks in, and here we are, you know, me and you starting to cost all kinds of shit, right? You know, Bill agreeing with, you know, corporate because, you know, Bill, he'd probably have a shirt and tie, he'd be yes manning the man. And then here's Dougie probably, you know, stealing people's French fries during the meeting, you know, and doing shots of tequila and stuff. It would be a trip. Anyway, okay, I digress. So the four advisory board was Parker Bone on the players' side, right? Chris Shawtran, old guest, friend of the show, CEO of Kegel. If you don't know Chris, pull up an old episode. We had him on. You know, great guy, knows a lot about bowling, was a bowler himself, great in the industry. It's the reason why Kegel is really so much successful because of Chris Chartrand and Charlie Mitchell, right? The, you know, Bayside Bowl owner, proprietor, right? And then Lori Mraz, who, as someone who knows the bowling industry, who's been around a lot of the bowling industry, who's been in it, been out of it, whatever. I don't know who Lori Mraz is. Now, you know, I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. I've never heard of her, and I had to reach out. I had to read on the article on the website. But I guess she's been a leader across the bowling industry. She's the vice chairman of the International Bowling Museum Hall of Fame Board of Directors. Since she's been serving since 2008. She's been a Billiard and Bowling Institute of America, BBIA Board of Directors from 2003 to 2008, International Bowling Pro Shop and Instructors Association Advisory Board, and John P. Gavey Memorial Tournament Committee from 2000 to 2020. She's also had some stuff with Turbo 2-in-1 in the 90s. And, you know, she is the official PBA Product Registered Company's marketing director. So, Mike, okay, so what do you think about this advisory committee? Like, what do you think? Like, I mean, what are your thoughts when you read the article and you saw this?
Advisory committees are always interesting to me because one of two things is going to happen when you put together an advisory committee. Either the organization putting together that advisory committee is picking those people because they already know that those people are going to tell them what they want to hear anyway. Okay, that's number one. They're going to give them the advisories that they want to hear. Okay, that would be my first point. My second point would be that sometimes when you put together an advisory committee and they come up with suggestions that are not what you want to hear, things go off the rails very quickly. So, to me, only time will tell which one we're dealing with here, right? Are these people being put in these positions to just reiterate what Bolero and what the PBA wants to be reiterated? Or are these people being put in these positions to really advise and direct Bolero and the PBA in how to go about some of these things that they want to go about next year? I don't know. I don't know which way it'll go. I think that the person that interested me the most on this advisory board, like Stu pointed out that Chris Chartrand from Kegel is an interesting appointment, being that they use Brunswick machines on tour. You know, but at the same time, a lot of Bolero centers are going to Kegel machines too, Stu, from what I see. So
that's a great business decision for Chris, if that's the case.
If there's a relationship there, right? I was most interested in the appointment of Charlie Mitchell. Because if you go back and you listen to other podcasts, like we had Charlie on, we had on Brian Owak from Bayside, one of their league bowlers, and we've talked about it numerous times whenever the PBA goes to Bayside. I felt that Charlie Mitchell is somebody that you want to get involved in a larger way in the industry, no question. You know, that's somebody that they should be going to for advice about, hey, how can we improve our league experience for our bowlers? How can we grow these leagues like you grew this league?
100%.
Look at our league system. Look at the way that we do things. How should we change things? How do we promote that? These are all questions that I think are good to ask somebody like Charlie, because he has such a different perspective in his
success and a book of success.
For sure.
With completely different what he does with Bayside than any other proprietor does in any other center. So and it's working.
Like what does the pessimist in me say? The pessimist in me says that Bolero's putting him on there because they want to try and draw him into the Bolero family and have him be someone who takes what he's done at Bayside and try to do that at all Boleros across the country. So I could be optimistic about it. I could be pessimistic about it. I can look at it both ways. But that's the appointment that interested me the most. But I think only time will tell in terms of what impact these people are going to have.
Do you know who else? You know who I'm going to nominate for a 5th advisory board if they're going to, advise Bolero on how to do things? It should be the dude from Bar Rescue who goes into the bowling set.
He was at the USBC Bowl Expo this year, I think.
Oh, was he? Well, they should bring him.
Shut it down.
They should bring Tapper into half the Boleros in the center, have him go in there and see what kind of a shit show Boleros are running in their bowling centers. Because let me tell you,
do you see the shit on these bathroom walls? This is disgusting. Shut it down. Make an announcement. Shut it down.
Mike, could you imagine him throwing a shot in practice and the ball hooks at the arrows? There's no oil. What are you doing? Shut this place down.
No. Well, what he would have to do. No, see, that's not how he does things. He wouldn't throw the shot himself. He would have his hired guns go in. He would have me and you go in and be like, I'm sending in Rob and Mike from Sweep the Rack. They do a popular bowling podcast, and they're going to go in and check the scene and report back. And they act like there's not cameramen walking around the place with cameras, but there are. And we would go in and we would be like, hey, can we get a lane? And they'd be like, yeah, sure. You need shoes? We'd be like, no, we have shoes. Okay, yeah, we're here.
22:30, one game.
Yeah. How many games do you want to bowl? Oh, is it okay if we pay after? We're not sure how much we want to pay. No, you have to pay before. You have to pay up front. Okay. 3 games each. Okay, 6 games. All right, that'll be $73.86. Oh, wow. Okay, here you go. We pay. We go down the lanes. We throw a shot, no oil. We walk up to the desk, say, hey, do you know the last time the lanes were oiled? And they're like, oiled? What do you mean oiled? What are you talking about? Oil? Who said oil?
Bowling alley rescue. That's what.
So yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. It's like, what is this shit on my shoes? Oh, has the settees areas been swept? When was the last time they actually swept the settee area? Oh, it's bad. You go in there, the air conditioner. It's 92 degrees in here. It's just. Oh my goodness. John Tapper, 5th nomination for
time will tell. Time will tell. So, all right, Rob, are we ready for what the people really come for?
I know. I'm so excited about this one because this one's a good one. All right, let's do it.
All right, so we're going to spend Jimmy, if you like that content, stick around for a few minutes. We're going to spend the bulk of our time on one worst of the week here. I have my own worst of the week, but you could almost consider this worst of the week from both of us, but we're going to count it in Rob's worst of the week column. So it was National Bowling Day earlier this week. Okay, it was National Bowling Day. All right, so some bowlers were on Fox and Friends weekend. All right, it was on Sunday. Okay, and I think it was Nico who actually posted this on our page.
Nico coming through always with the content.
Yeah, and we saw it and we were like, oh man, yeah, we got to do something like this. So listen, we're gonna play it here. We'll
Not
stop
all of it.
We're gonna play most of it here. We're gonna play most of it. We will stop it from time to time to comment. But enjoy.
All right, it's National Bowling Day, and we have been celebrating all morning long on Fox Square. I even have the shoes, you guys.
Rick just took his tie off. Look out.
Now pause it. I mean, right away, Could they make them look any worse? Could they like corny jerseys on that go over their clothes? Like, could they really make them look any worse?
Look, the setup is pretty sweet. I mean, they put lanes in the middle of the city. I think, what is that? Is that New York City or is that Chicago?
No, I think
New York City. The lanes are in the middle. It's a great setup, but I mean, come on. Like, what are they doing with these jerseys?
Go ahead.
Like,
Before we hit the lanes, 2 top bowlers are here to show us exactly how it's done. Here,
Mike, they couldn't give them their own bowling balls. They couldn't drill them some bowling balls for this segment. I mean, talk about like them using alley balls here. Like, come on, Nick. Give these guys at least a low performance bowling ball. Drill them a scout or something. I don't know. Okay, I'll keep playing.
Terrible.
to get the ball rolling, the professional women's bowling.
Oh, I can't wait for this part.
Bowler Danielle McCowan and Dasha Kovalova.
Great.
All right.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
Come on,
it's terrible.
Mike, they came closer to pronouncing Dasha's name than they did to Danielle's name.
They failed on both, let's be honest.
They failed on both.
They came closer on Dasha's name, Kovalova, than they did on Danielle's name. I mean, Jesus.
So they didn't ask them like their names before the show started. Like, hey, how do you say your names? It'd be, I can't even imagine what they do to my name, Mike. I can't even imagine. This is just cringy. I'm cringing watching this. All right.
I'll take it. Danielle, you've been with us here before.
I have.
Give us some tips when it comes to bowling for the basics for amateurs like us.
So I think the starting point is you're going to use the dots back here to make sure you're centered on the lane.
Okay.
You're going to look at the arrows and draw a line from the arrows straight to the head pin and make sure you follow through.
I have to know what you're wearing on your feet. What are these slippers?
They're the shoe covers. So basically, when you take the shoe cover off, this area is very sensitive to like wet substances. So that we won't end up falling down on the lanes and getting more views to you guys. We have to protect our shoes.
Should we try to spin the ball or should we just go straight?
Do you do the curve or should we just go for straight?
We do the curve. I think you guys can do it.
So you guys are like super duper pros. Is your practice just reps? Or are you doing weights? Are you doing stuff to make your arms stronger?
Our whole body. Bowling is very misunderstood sport, but it actually takes a lot of strength and a lot of endurance. We bowl for long hours, week in, week out. So it takes a lot of work to make sure our body.
So what's your workout like?
A lot of core work, a lot of leg work, stability, balance, all that stuff.
So now you see your right arm there, by the way. It's pretty strong.
Mike, I got to pause it right here because I really got to give a shout out to Danielle and both of them. They handled the situation very well. They did. Danielle was very I thought Danielle handled all of this pretty well. I mean, would you safe to say yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to throw that out there. This has this segment.
I'm glad everyone took note of them, called them. You're like super duper pros.
Oh my goodness, cringeworthy. Okay.
For sure. What's your best score?
What's your best score?
300. Yeah.
300. Perfect game.
You both bowled perfect game. Is that common? Is that like anybody at your level is bowled 300?
Oh, Mike, that's just worst of the week right there. Like I don't know who that guy is, but he just won worst of the week. Like, Mike, these are. Oh, okay. I mean, I can't even talk. Okay.
300s?
It happens.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay,
It
show
happens,
us some good form.
Would you each give us an example here real quick?
What's the good form?
Get on the lane.
Oh, all right, go ahead. Bowling time. Show us how it's done.
Watch some pros.
Oh,
look at that. If you're a pro, you get your own shirt with your name on the back.
Oh.
We don't.
Well, we got fancy shirts.
Oh, look at that. See that?
Yeah.
Oh, was that a little far,
Well,
too
they
far
look
to the
like
right?
they're on some strings.
Yeah.
They would have fallen. I see that.
Yeah. And you want to hit right in between the center and the pin right next to
Correct.
it, right?
Correct. They're about the same.
Neither of them can strike
because
because it's outside.
Right.
And God knows what kind of surface they're bowling on, and it's string
The
pins.
best.
You bring this guy with a sport jacket just to go to the club.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God.
What tips would you like to give them?
you got to get the rotation counter-cyclical to the rotation of the Earth at about a 10-degree arc going down the lane.
I need a ball. Mine was about.
Mike, I gotta ask you. Are they mocking by now? Are they like making? Is this
it's
guy
borderline? It's borderline.
I wasn't sure. I was trying to get a feel if they were really like, if they were just kind of like trolling the sport a little bit. I don't know. I got that feeling. Okay, let's keep going here.
All of that. The answer is a lie, but I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
What do you want? You want a heavy ball?
Yeah, give me a heavy ball.
You seem like a heavy ball kind of guy.
I am.
Get him that green one or the blue one there.
This one?
Yeah,
You throw this one before you go.
14. What does a 14 mean?
Oh my
So 14
God.
pounds, that's the weight. Yeah.
How many pins were left standing with yours?
I knocked all of them down.
All right.
He's lying. You all ready?
Let's go. He's not following the lines.
Oh, he's not.
Okay, that's hard to do. That's hard. That's okay.
My team was better.
Pete, you're up first. Okay, so that was officially a practice. Okay, he's our
That was
guest.
a practice?
That was a practice.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, we got to
You don't
turn
need
this
practice
off.
Normally.
We got to turn this off. I think people get the point. Worst of the week, man. Worst of the week.
That's worse.
At one point, somebody makes a joke about being Ernie McCracken. About being Ernie, so you had to get the Kingpin reference in there too. That dude who's backstage, like, oh, we're doing a bowling segment. Oh man, let me get the Ernie McCracken Kingpin line ready for them. I know everybody's gonna love that one.
Yeah, the movie's only been out for like 30 years.
I know,
but that's what just shows you worst of the week, because the people who bowl are like don't know bowl, like have no clue, but the people who don't bowl, like these reporters, or have no idea about bowling, God, the stigma and the stereotype of everything we try to battle as a sport is literally highlighted in 6 minutes of this video. The Kingpin reference. Do you work out? What do you do for working out? I feel like that was a little bit of like, Danielle played it off like it's misunderstood. Like, she works out. She, and look, props to Danielle, like in Dasha. Danielle is a very good spokesperson for the PWBA. Like, she is. Like, she's very well spoken. She works out. She's a great bowler. She's always making the TV show. But it just shows you really, Nico, and you're right. It just shows you the lack of education when it comes to bowling. Look, I'm not gonna say I don't mind bowling being on like a prime time. Like, I love bowling exposure. Like, it's great if it's on a main news network, like Fox and Friends or whatever. But like, at least if you're a reporter, at least try to come up with some better like questions and try to educate yourself a little bit when you're doing this segment. It just seemed like they didn't even like do any research. They just kind of improvised. And it just turned out to a huge disaster, in my opinion. But like I said, Danielle and Dasha, they did a great job. They did what they kind of worked with what they had. You know what I mean? And anyway.
Feel you. My worst of the week, I'm going to make it quick, is from Twitter. It goes to Radical Bowling Technologies.
Ooh.
Yeah, their Twitter account. They put out a tweet earlier this week. What do you think? How many will be bowled this season? Over under on Sanction 900 series this season. 1.5. Is this where we're at?
That's where we're at.
Is this where we're at?
So
the bowling ball companies are encouraging outrageous and outlandish and unrealistic, let's be honest, scoring by putting out predictions of over-unders for how many perfect series there will be. 1.5. What do you think? I'd say over. I'd say there's going to be more than one. I wouldn't be surprised if there's way more than one. I think the over-under on that should probably be 2.5, not
Mike,
1.5.
I might have two myself in my fall league.
Fair point. All right, Rob, give the people what they want. Final thoughts, Rob.
Yes. the two-handed woman or lady bowling revolution is about to start, in my opinion. The 8 youth bowlers just qualified for the regional for the PBA Junior National Championship. The one specific lady who I've actually been following on Instagram for since maybe last year or two, because I believe her dad actually watches our show every once in a while. Her name is, I believe it's, I don't want to get her name wrong here. I don't want to be Fox and Friends and butcher her name. But I believe it's Love Castillo. I might be missing a middle name there. She's a two-handed under 18 bowler who qualified for the PBA Junior National Championship. And Mike, if you have a chance to see this young lady throw the ball, she throws it really well. I've seen her
videos on Instagram. She throws it really well.
It's Bella.
Yeah,
Bella Love Castillo. Yeah. She throws the ball fantastic. Now, just because she's a two-handed and she's a female, we're not about to give her the next Jason Belmonte title, okay? That's, I'm not ready to do that yet. But she throws the ball fantastic. Her rev rate is really, really high for a lady. And, she just made a junior national championship, or at least the finals, so she can play. So we'll be following this young lady very closely. She seems to, she throws the ball awesome as a two-hander. And, that might be starting the women's two-handed revolution here coming soon. So
listen, let's just skip the bullshit and let's get a series of matches arranged between this girl and Jillian Martin, and let's get it on.
Oh, Jillian Martin is, that's not even, come on. Let the girl win a junior national championship first before you put her up against Jillian Martin, who's winning PWBA titles.
I'm being outlandish.
I know. But so, Mike, what's your final thought?
My final thought is that I'm going to reiterate again that what people think will happen if people are forced or greatly encouraged to bowl on tougher conditions, what the majority of the bowling industry thinks will happen is that people will quit. But what I see is that that's not the case. What really happens is people, number one, realize how fraudulent the other side was. Then they realize that they're really not as good as they thought they were. And with a little support, just a little bit of support, somebody with a little bit of knowledge telling them, try this, try that, drill this ball, drill that ball, work on this, work on that. People want to get better, because what happens is that even though they go out and they bowl 480 or 500 or 520 or 530 or 550 or whatever, they bowl whatever. There's at least those few frames a night, few frames a week where they get it, where they do it correctly, and they get it, and they have great success. And it shows them, see, when I do it correctly, I can do it. I just have to do that more often. And what that leads to in most of the people that I experience bowling on the tougher stuff with is a drive to get better. Now, again, part of the problem is that drive to get better isn't really supported by the industry very much. It's not supported by it. You got a lot of pro shop guys out there who don't bowl on sport shit themselves. So it's not supported by the industry very much. Okay, but if you support it and you let it grow, you let that urge to get better grow, that's how we get the game back.
I agree. But here's a question. What do you think? I know we're going a little bit over here, but what do you think if the proprietors, instead of doing like a PBA or like a sports shot league, if it was just like a sports shot like practice session where there was no scores?
Yeah,
there was no scores. I mean, people just showed up for an hour, 2 hours, bowling the practice. Scores were never up. Nobody could see you're bowling 130, right? But people can go for 2 hours a week, pay a $15 to $20, and just practice on a sport. It's just practice, but it won't discourage people from going there and having their egos deflated by shooting 130 or bowling 480 in league.
I think to see the score at times is important because there's that objective measure of the sport. You know, but I think as a way to get people introduced to it, yes, I agree with you. But then at a certain point, I think, you do have to go back to the score. I mean, Rob, listen, it's so bad. I'd be happy if I could get, let's say, a group of 12 to 14 people to show up once a week just to bowl like pill doubles. You know, if you guys don't know what pill doubles is something we used to do at Levittown Lanes. There's different names for it, but it's basically, say you got 12 guys, you take 12 cards, everybody draws a card, and then people are paired up based on the card they draw. Okay, so it's like random doubles teams, and you do a little.
You meet
pot.
a lot of people.
You know, you throw $2 or $3 in a pot for everybody. Yeah, so you're bowling for $25 for first place and $10 for second every game. So it's not serious money or anything like that. But I'd be happy with that. Yeah. I really would. I'd be happy with that.
Here's the funny thing
bad at this point.
I know Anthony Battaglia had a comment earlier that we didn't discuss, but he's saying like the only place that he can go get a solid practice session is at Parker's. You know, look, if there's anybody who understands that more than anybody, it's me, because I'm spending my money and I'm going every weekend to the B3 Performance and I'm bowling on these red squares. But look, like that investment is obviously paying off right now for me because I'm bowling good in tournaments. Is it a coincidence? I'm going and bowling on tough shots over the weekend for an hour, you know, and then when I go bowl tough shots tournaments, I'm prepared a little bit more than I normally am when you're practicing on a house shot. You know, Mike?
We're going to wrap it up with Dawn's comment. Yeah. She said, start a sports shot league and my 13-year-old son will be there. He loves the challenge. Yeah, Dawn,
that's perfect.
We understand it because kids that young, they don't have the egos that these other guys have from years of bowling on fraudulent stuff.
I had an ego when I was 13. I don't want to hear that.
Rob did. You're right about that.
But
Rob
JOG is forcing these kids to prepare on these shots. If they don't, we talk about it all the time. It's like going into a hurricane with them with no preparation. They literally will get chewed out and spit up like if they have zero visibility to sports shots. That's why when we had Deandra on 2 weeks, Deandra talks about her elite youth tour and she puts out tough shots every month or twice a month for these kids. And a lot of her kids are really prepared when they go to JOG, and she has a lot of former champions. So there's a reason why JOG is forcing a lot of younger kids to get exposure to sports shots earlier these days.
All right, we're going to wrap it up on that. Follow us on social media. He is at Brooklyn Rob 11 on Twitter. I'm the 215th on Twitter. Email us, sweettherack@gmail.com. Folks, we got a little thing coming. T-shirts are coming. T-shirts are coming. Sweep the Rack T-shirts. Get at us. If you emailed us about a rosin bag and we haven't gotten back to you, we apologize. We're still setting it up. We will get back to you. If you want a rosin bag, worst of the week rosin bag, reach out by email, sweeptherack@gmail.com. Rob, everybody, always appreciate it. Always have fun. Have a good week. We'll see everybody next week.
Later, guys.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.